Have you ever wondered why some relationships that look absolutely perfect online are over in 6 months? Or how some of the strongest couples you know rarely post anything about each other ever? Somewhere along the way, relationships stopped being something that we experienced and started becoming something that we displayed. Just know, some of the healthiest relationships start in private. But nowadays, social media rewards couples that look good in the public eye. The danger isn't in sharing your relationships, it's when you begin to value how they look rather than how they function. So stick around and we'll discuss how relationships started going bad, how they got worse, and maybe, just maybe, with your help, we can bring back healthy relationships again. Welcome back to Undivided. I'm your host, Adam Maxwell, where we are talking about rebuilding your life through faith, discipline, and adventure. Today, I am here in Whitefish, Montana. We're looking forward to moving out here, part of our life, part of our adventure, this getting out there. And I cannot wait to be able to create content for you guys out here and go on my adventures finally. I've been fighting a surgical procedure, spine surgery that I've been dealing with for the last 12 weeks, unable to get out there and actually do the adventuring. But I hope to get out here and do the things out here so we can go through some stuff to be able to do together, or for you guys to go out and try to partake on your own. Anyways, today our episode is going to be a little bit noisy potentially, as we're in a public area. We're at Whitefish State Park on Whitefish Lake. Behind me back there, you can probably see the Whitefish Resort. And anyway, gorgeous out here, but we're going to get talking a little bit about today's episode. Today's episode is about partners as props. We've been going down the road of social media and what it's been doing to our relationships and how it's been harming the way that we see each other. So partners as props when love becomes content. Because out there these days, there's a lot of stuff going on that is unrealistic goals, unrealistic expectations. And I just want to take a minute, or maybe 60 minutes, to talk to you guys about this stuff, and we can go through it together and figure out how maybe we can get away from that style of relationship, because it is a very unsuccessful way to go about it. Anyway, the real question right out the gate is, when did love become a performance, right? Did it just happen? Has it been going on for a long time? When did it change, and how did it change? It's really the question you need to ask yourself. But for most of human history, coupling was purely functional. It was rooted in survival, reproduction, and socioeconomic purposes, right? Like arranged marriages between two different families to bring together their assets and the value of their families so that they could continue on with their family. That's where all of our surnames come from, right? Is all the relationships in the past that we have had, many of them being arranged. But in the 12th century, the French had to go and kind of mucky things up with this courtly love that they came up with by creating strict rules within the human relationship, where a knight would pine publicly for an unattainable lady, whether a princess, or not a queen. Obviously she'd have her king, but as a princess or somebody who's reasonably unattainable. They'd wear their colors into tournaments, they'd wear their colors into battles, they'd even compose fancy poetry for each other. Now, I'm not against the idea of creating this courtly love type of a thing, but I just wanted to let you know where it kind of began. So up until about the 18th century and the Industrial Revolution, this style of love continued on. But the 18th century came along, like I say, the Industrial Revolution. It allowed young people to start making their own way in the world, where they didn't have to rely solely on these arranged marriages. Now, the arranged marriages were still happening. They still happen today in some parts of the world and the country. And most people kind of see it as weird, but it does have its purpose in certain cultures and certain religious backgrounds and things like that. But now that these younger people in the 18th century and the Industrial Revolution, they get to choose their partners because they have their own financial backing in order to do so. So that is when it began to change. But then the 19th century came and the Victorian invention of material devotion came along. What that long and arduous title means is people started buying cute things for each other, whether it was leaving calling cards for the one that they loved or the one that they desired at their home. Again, that goes back to the poetry for the ladies in the medieval times, really. And public intimacy really became a performative, right? Being seen out, being seen at that restaurant, being seen together, these large gestures started to happen. And then the commercialization started to take place with Valentine's, tokens of love, and jewelry. Once that jewelry thing started, it really kind of shaped things where they started getting into the idea of the 20th century and the courtship styles back then. It moved entirely to the public sphere. Diners, theaters, riding around in cars, sitting on, you've seen it in movies where they're sitting on the bluff and she's in his arm and they're just kissing and things like that. And really, this guy named Eyal Finkel, Finkel or Einhorn. But Eyal Finkel noted as society met basic physical and security needs, marriage transitioned from survival to personal fulfillment and status signaling, right? So all of a sudden, this thing started to become competitive. Who could buy the bigger diamond? Who could go on the most dates? Who could be seen out and about? It was really measured by the frequency of being at the beautiful establishments and the places that you could go spend money on your lady. Really is what it came down to. But then the visible material markers of commitment, i.e. the ring, really took off in the 1930s as De Beers utilized the capitalist idea, and they went after advertising the diamond engagement ring. Well, the diamond engagement ring turned into a mandatory public performance of financial capabilities, like how much money does this guy have? So it went from, it's always been kind of about money, right? But now it's really about how that man has enough money to give me this big rock on my finger. Prior to that, they were just small gold rings or something of the like to show that you were with one another. The ring showed that they were, together in a cyclical bond, never to part, never to stop, right? But then, De Beers, using their genius, I guess you could say, started punching out and pushing these diamond rings. Now you go from that and you get into the idea of so how did we get to the social media feed? Well, in the 1950s, you started to see these large picture windows start to unfold and on the fronts of these homes. Prior to that, it was very closed off, right? People didn't want you to be able to see in their house. They wanted their privacy. They didn't want anybody seeing in. But then in the 1950s, that all changed with the large picture window so that people could see what you had going on in your house a little bit, right? Everybody's like, oh, open concept. We love that idea. Well, they had that one back wall behind that picture window, so you couldn't see everything. You could see their curated living room, right? So think about that. I never did until I started researching this stuff. Like that large picture window was the social media feed of the 1950s. And then that continued on because everybody was starting to get into that keeping up with the Joneses thing, or the and turning into the algorithmic envy that everybody sees today. So basically, let's kind of compare and contrast from the 1950s or the 20th century, when things really started to pick up, glamorizing the world, or glamorizing your feed to the world, I should say. So in the 1950s, you had that perfect front lawn, right? And that kind of translates to these curated travel photos and being able to show off a little bit. And then 1950s, you had your polished station wagon or your nice sports car dad finally got with his midlife crisis, to this new aesthetic car, the newest, hottest, vehicle that's out there, whether it's an SUV of some kind, Tahoe, or if it's some kind of a sports car, Corvette, and people just kind of, show that crap off to each other like, look at me. Can you keep up with me? Right? And then that smiling family portrait. Everybody went and got that curated smiling family portrait, and that turned into these highly staged, candid reels and candid photos of each other, like, dancing in the water and stuff like, come on. And I'm guilty too. Here comes a train, just so you know. So let's hope that I can kind of edit that out. It's a beautiful spot, but the train runs right along the lake. I mean, it's pretty cool if you're a kid, but if you're an adult trying to, record your audio here, it makes it a little bit difficult. So I'm going to lean in. I'm going to bring this microphone right up here to me, and I'm going to try to continue talking without ever stopping talking until I get through this thing. So anyways, that the 1950s cracked into the 1970s, and all of a sudden you get this new documentary that's the first of its kind PBS releases of the Loud family in the 1970s, and it smashes that suburban image completely to pieces, shatters it into a million pieces. Because what they did is they followed the Loud family as their marriage was falling apart, and the kids were, kind of getting a little wild with it. But I mean, if you stuff a camera into these people's faces or into people's faces, it changes who they are. If they're especially if, say, I don't know, the kids don't really want to do it, but the parents are like, you're doing it anyway, kid. That still happens today, especially. You got these content creators out there throwing their kids all over this content, and it's kind of sad, but whatever. Do you. You do you. I'll do me. I'll continue to do this. And if you don't like the way I talk, then don't listen. So anyway, the Loud family, let's get back to them. So basically what that did was it sparked the reality boom of the 1990s, right? So the 1970s, it was like a 10-part series, had the most views of any TV show ever, 10 million views going on out there each week. And it kind of completely changed the dynamic of how we watched television and how the suburban family life was portrayed. So all of a sudden, in the 1990s, what did we get? The Real World, where you take these diverse strangers and you force them into these weird and crazy heated environments, and they recorded every last thing. There was cameras looking at the beds. There was cameras in the bathrooms. I mean, they weren't on the toilets, but they were in the bathrooms. The cameras were everywhere and followed them everywhere. So basically what that did is you get these people in these heated environments, and they start acting a little bit different than they generally would. Now they're getting mad at each other. They're fighting. They have these inroads with each other. They can't even stand each other, and they get into these fights, and they act foolish, and they do stupid things. And then what did they do? They gave these people, what did they call it? The confessional. If you ever watch these shows, if you haven't, go back and check them out. They're just total pure garbage, slop filth, but they're fun to watch, right? As long as you don't take it too seriously. But the confessionals is where they would take these cast members and they'd throw them in this little room, and this cast member would be able to go on there and trash everybody around them about the fight that they had with this person, and just totally belittle and paint themselves as the victim and justify their own actions. And it created this whole new performative version of recording anything. And that's where all of a sudden we have these front-facing cameras that are on our phones every single day. And what that does is that allows people to do crazier and crazier things all the time. Like, again, I'm sitting here talking into a camera with all these people around me right now wondering, what the heck is this guy up to? So let's take a little glance back, right? So the 1950s, you had the public display of material wealth, and the strict family harmony is what it kind of broke down to. And then that transitioned, especially through the 1970s with that documentary, kind of shattering that idea of that beautiful suburban life. And now they have, in the 90s, this public display of internal thoughts, raw drama, and the curated conflict that everybody loves so much. And then now in the 2020s, there's continuous broadcasting of blending these aesthetics and perfection and staged it with vulnerability. So with all that said, the producers found that harmonious partnerships don't captivate the audience. It is not what really draws these people in. And that's part of how this is as difficult as it can be, is I'm trying not to sell my soul. I have to push the envelope just a little bit, but the fact is that I don't want to go out there and start putting this crap out there that makes people fight each other every single day, or the rage baiting and the baiting of all these people into these comments, these comment groups, yelling at each other and just being angry all the time. I'm trying to get away from that and guide people to a better version of life. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. There's no such thing. There's only one perfect, and we all know who that is. That's JC. Anyway, so these producers found that this harmonious partnership, the harmonious partnerships don't bring the views. So they started doing these, making these partner conflict generators, and these ideas is in instigating drama by manipulating the family's environment and the people's environment around them. Today, they use social media to spark public reactions. They stage these pranks. You've seen the pranks where they shoot the balloon full of the white whatever, and these they create fake arguments. They highlight minor domestic disagreements. Some of the fake arguments, like I caught him cheating on me, and it just looks like it's fake, right? Because it probably is. People started unleashing their dirty laundry out there, and they didn't know what it was going to have and what kind of an effect that it was going to have. They calling each other out there, and then they get all this, oh, I hope everything's okay, and all these comments and all these likes and all these loves and hearts, and people see that and they're like, huh, guess what? I bet I can monetize off this, and we could start making this stuff really lucrative for ourselves. And what did that do? It damaged the family home. It damaged people's views on the things that they're trying to create. So real relationships are messy and they're slow. And television cuts that crap out to try to create this emotional distance and dissatisfaction. And that's where everybody wants to live. They want that gory news, and they want to see the bad things that are happening. So every bad TV show, or every bad moment in the news, or every bad human being doing something awful, there's a million people doing something great. There's a million people doing something for God. There's a million people doing something for each other. But that doesn't grab the views, because people want to look outward and see other people screwing up rather than looking inward and seeing themselves screw up, because life's complicated. It's hard. It's not easy. It's emotional. It's difficult. But anyways, that all said, what it's been creating is the groundwork for this modern relationship influencer, right? They insert just to, they insert all these people to react to gifts and these big, huge displays of splendor and smiling on cue and looking beautiful. And, the video where the girl grabs the man's hand and she's like, come with me to the beach. Yeah, I mean, that stuff might happen in the real world, but that content isn't real. It's real people, but doing fake things, which is fine. Do your fake. It's cute. It's good ideas for people to go out there and try to do something awesome for the one that they love, but it's not real life. So the thing is that everybody is starting to want constant excitement and constant visual effects and constant, notoriety, right? What's the new hottest, the non-reality, and getting out there and trying to portray that. But who are we trying to convince? Are we trying to convince ourselves? Are we trying to convince our family members? Are we trying to convince strangers? Our audience has grown from people who to thousands of people who you don't know. I would like to get to know a lot of these people that I maybe am going to be touching throughout the years. Whether it's through this or whether it's through the future of what I plan to do with this whole project. Undivided isn't just a podcast. It's going to become a group, a forum. Guys are going to be able to come out and do adventurous things, and hopefully on-site adventure reality, right? Like get out there and go do stuff, go camping, go ride motorcycles together, and just plan that out and make that happen. And with the gift of God involved in every step of it, because it is extremely important to have that there. So we get into like these relationship aesthetics. It's a shift from the standard partner as a prop, and it's showing off your partner as a status symbol. There's so many people out there. Oh, it's all about the status. It's all about what they look like. It's all about the crap that they have. You sit here in this beautiful, beautiful place, but man, you want to talk about aesthetics. There's aesthetics, People are spending 250,000 plus on a boat, or I mean, plus is easy on some of these wake boats, especially they want to be seen. They want to be loud. They want to be awesome. Who doesn't want a $700,000 wake boat? I do, but it's not necessary. I'll be lucky if I get to have a boat that has, has the friggin' the stuff to be able to wakeboard with on it. You know what I mean? I'll probably have to build it. I'll probably have to buy one that's busted and put it back together. But I'm cool with that because I don't really give a crap about what other people think of me for the most part. Some days I do. But anyways, this stuff here is fully curated, visually to blend into specific internet subcultures. And these subcultures I knew nothing about. And this is just a couple of them that I want to share with you. These subcultures are something that I'm just like, oh, this exists. Wow. The internet's it's pretty deep out there, and I'm just scratching the surface, guys, I swear. One is called the Beige Minimalist Union. These are people that wear like all really nice beigey outfits. They match. Their house is all perfect, aesthetically pleasing. It all looks good. They curate these meals. They curate these moments together. And it's just kind of a simple, soft perfection is what I would like to say. I've looked at some of these videos and I don't even get it, man. And then you get yourself into these other ones where it's like they call it cottage core and like the traditional romance, something that's kind of leaving the scene, and people want to reach back to this old idea of what life used to be like. And then there's the dystopian cyberpunk duo, dark music, not really dark music, but just it's more of a city vibe, right? Like back alley darkness with these two people that are just always wearing the new hottest and the new hottest things that are current and up to date, and they function in this punk kind of way that I know nothing about. Be honest with you, it almost reminds me going into the direction of goth, but not that dark, right? In that direction. But they stop short because there's this romance with this duality between two people. And then there's the old money, the luxury partnership. I mean, hold on, let me move. If you look, it's out there where that lives. There's the old money, the luxury partnership, sailboats, oh honey, with cigars. And I mean, and that stuff's out there. They're real. I'm not trying to throw shade onto people who actually live these lifestyles, but these people that are on making this content, they're out there trying to get you to follow this stuff like it matters, or to get views, because it is their subcultures of people, and some people are grasping at straws to get into that action. So and that also looks like the surprise vacation, the matching outfits. I can talk, I swear to God. Matching outfits, luxury dates, spectacular proposal videos, the perfect families, the perfect family photo, all the rest of it. I got to get myself a little bit of a drink here. Gets parched. I'm getting parched. It's warm out. Yeah, that's the good stuff right there. That's sparkling water. Anyway, is that me trying to be that old money luxury? Be like, oh, this here is the Perrier from France. I'm just kidding. I'm an idiot. Anyway, back to it. None of these lifestyles are inherently wrong, and I'm not trying to, like I say, throw shade on these people, but fact is, there's people making money off of these lifestyles and trying to draw these people in. It's crazy how quickly all this stuff shifts too. It's like you think you know what the hell's going on, and then you look back at the internet and you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And that's how that goes. So you got to ask yourself some questions here. When do these lifestyles and when do these relationships become a goal rather than a celebration of lives together? We have to remember the algorithm rewards moments, right? And relationships are built on routines. They're built off longevity. They're built off of being there for each other through thick and thin. And so, like I said, the algorithms celebrate the highlights, and love is built on healthy habits and being with each other through it all. Right. My wife, I just make sure to look her in her eyes and let her know how awesome and powerful she is and what she can really go and achieve. We're there for each other. We're each other's cheerleader. We're each other's biggest fan. You know, you don't have to be absolute best friends with that person that you're with, but you definitely have to be their biggest fan and pushing them to become the best version of themselves. That's how you're going to get ahead in life. If you're angry that you're not getting anywhere in life, then maybe you're not the biggest fan of the person that you've decided to put a ring on that finger. And you might want to go back to the drawing board and take a look at that, right? So the fact is that the quiet moments and the moments that are important, nobody posts those. Nobody's posting that stuff. You know, we like to talk, we like to talk about, I would like to talk about the last episode and how like unraveling that person's mystery is as important as anything that you could ever ask for. Oh, it's another train. That's so good. I love it. Thankfully, we have the internet, technology, and I can kind of edit some of this stuff out. But we're going to let it rip, baby. I don't even care. Unedit. Let's see. Maybe you'll like the sound of a train in the background. I know I don't. Anyway, let's keep ripping. But what I'm saying is that, like, unraveling that person's mystery, what that does is that allows you to really fall deeply and madly in love with each other. It allows you to be able to see that this person really come alive in front of you, because last episode we were talking about how, mystery is something of the past, because everybody's always able to go on and try to, be a detective on the person that they're trying to hang out with. And sometimes when you're that detective, you might just find some stuff that isn't real on their profiles that makes them look better than they are. Like, it'd be better to just learn it from that person and figure out who that individual is to make things really matter. So usually unraveling this person's mystery doesn't happen on extravagant trips. It's not when you give them that extravagant gift. Yes, you're going to get a great reaction in those events, in those moments, but really that depth happens in the quiet moments, in the mundane, the everyday. Everything from grocery shopping and picking out ingredients for the food that you're going to make. And I highly, highly, highly implore you to become an ingredient household where you can actually make meals together, because that time that you spend making meals together could be the difference between knowing everything about each other and knowing nothing about each other. But sitting in silence, especially if you have kids, sometimes you don't get a moment to yourselves, but when you do, and you can just sit there and their legs can be across your legs and you can just hold their hand or whatever it may be, that is just the some of the best moments of your life. Go jump in a hammock together and see how that goes. Sometimes it gets a little spicy. Make sure there's a good breeze going and you're, in a good spot and not in the sun, because otherwise it's not going to be as awesome as you want it to be. But, and helping each other after hard day's work. There's certain days where I come home and I've done as much as I can possibly handle, and she's there for me, and or she goes to work and she's got some of these people or patients that, they're heavy or they're difficult or whatever it may be. And that can just completely take everything out of, the wind out of her sails. You have to be there for that person and help build them up, rather than being angry because they didn't walk up to you and kiss you immediately when they walked through the door because they got a lot on their mind. Be that person that kisses them first, right? Caring for your sick spouse. I just had to have that happen to me. I mean, I wasn't exactly sick, but I had surgery, and my wife stayed home and she helped me for the first couple weeks of my surgery, and it was awesome. It was great to see, and I would do the same for her without a doubt in my mind. Try not to get frustrated with that person because they can't help it, right? And in paying the bills, figuring out how you're going to make ends meet, apologizing to one another when things go wrong, forgiving each other when they make a mistake, and praying together every single day. Pray together every single day. And one of my favorites is laughing at our inside jokes together. We know everybody's got them. Doesn't mean you have to explain them to everybody. Let those be you. Let those be yours. Don't put it out there for everybody to know. Otherwise, it's not an inside joke anymore. Now it's a shared outside joke. I don't know. What do you call it? You tell me. But it gets all the way down to the point, once you unravel that mystery enough and you really, really start to dive deep with that person, you can finish each other's sentences or sandwiches or whichever you prefer to do. Maybe both. We can do that, right? But the thing is with all those activities that I just talked about, you're like, well, that seems pretty boring. But Boredom has created some of the greatest inventions of all time. Boredom has created some of the greatest things that you could ever ask for throughout your life. They may not go viral, but these moments are what build intimacy by shedding the mystery off of this person and allowing you to really get to know them. And the strongest parts of your relationships will probably never make the cut on your Instagram feed, but they should, because people just don't know anymore what it really means to fall in love. And that's all right. We're here to help you. We're here to help you figure it all out, because I'm tired of seeing everybody so angry at each other for one mundane little thing to the other. But we're dating the person, I guess, is what I'm after. Is like, yeah, are we dating that person, or are we try to date that lifestyle that person brings to the table? Because if you're trying to date the lifestyle rather than the person, what does it really mean about you? What does it really mean about the relationship? Would you still choose that woman if nobody ever saw the relationship? Would you choose that man if he didn't have anything to bring that was super impressive that you can post about him? Would it be okay for that person just to be a good human being on a regular basis, or as much as possible? Because we all know how difficult it is this day and age to be there for each other the way that you want to be, because they have all the stuff out there, all the maxing, all the glamorous and amazing situations that they all want to try to put us in, right? It's not reality. So is it about the status, image, the luxury, the validation from everybody else? Are you choosing your partner for the true companionship, or for what the relationship communicates about yourself to others? What do you want it to be about? Do you want it to be about your companionship, or do you want it to be about what other people think of your companionship? Sometimes we're not looking for a partner. We're looking for proof that we have made it. And that's a problem. You have to look for that partner that helps you make it, rather than finding that partner that shows you've made it. Because I can tell you right now, it's not going to work out for you. And as usual, we got to find where Christianity and what Christianity's vision of love truly is. Our Lord Jesus gave us his life for our salvation, the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate love that you could ever ask for. And in Matthew 13:3-9, it goes, "Then he told them many things in parables, saying, A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on the rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seeds fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still another seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 160 or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear." And this message can be interpreted in so many different ways. But I think what is being said is, if you're being wholeheartedly faithful, half-heartedly faithful, or just passing up the opportunity to have his love. Because if we hope to bear spiritual fruit, we need to allow God's spiritual soil to be ready to receive his word and flourish. Another way that you can see it too, is in a way that if you're in, your relationships are sowed in shallow environments, they'll shrivel and die. If you surround yourself with immoral, sinful people, their thorns will choke you out. But if you find depth and love you need in a person, you will grow and grow exponentially, giving more than you could ever have believed. But Jesus does explain it. In Matthew 13:18-23, he says, "Listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches it away, what was sown in their hearts. This is a seed sown along the path. The seed falling on the rocky ground refers to somebody who hears the word and once receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to somebody who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop, yielding 160 or 30 times what is sown. So, If you're unwilling to sacrifice to the Lord, show humility when challenged in life, or give yourself to others without expectation, you'll find it to be difficult. You'll find it to be difficult to be given the gifts that Jesus promises to all of us. You'll find it impossible to find love because relationships aren't valuable because they're admired. They're valued because of faith. So ask yourself, if no one ever liked your anniversary post, would your marriage be any less meaningful? Because that question exposes whether our sense of fulfillment has become tied to external validation. The healthiest relationships don't need an audience to be meaningful. They just need each other. These human beings, they need to come back together. So building a relationship that doesn't need an applause, it creates traditions that never get posted. It keeps some of your milestones private. Celebrate each other without sharing it to the entire world. Speak words of encouragement so that no one else hears. Because if you run around saying, oh, look what I did, look what I did, look what I did, look what I did, there's a lesson to be learned in the Bible about that. We're not going to speak of it today, but we'll get there. Go out there and make some memories that only exist with each other. So you have your own mystery from the world. And if somebody wants to come and unravel that mystery, they can, and you can develop a deep friendship. The point isn't secrecy, it's protecting your intimacy and holding on to your own moments rather than just giving them to the world. I'm giving you some of me. I'm giving you the stuff that matters. I'm giving you the greatness that I do have within my life. But I'm not going to sit here and give you everything that I have. I will not share with you all of the moments because some of that stuff's mine. So let's try something new in the future. Let's try the invisible date. If you haven't done that, if you're dating or you're married, plan an evening together with only one rule in mind. It sounds like there's a bunch. It's just kind of all the same with, you'll hear what I'm trying to get at, right? So go out there with these rules in mind, right? Nothing gets posted, no matter how beautiful the venue. No stories posted, no matter how meaningful the date may have been. No photos, no matter how perfectly the meal was plated, because nobody cares. No check-ins, no matter how exclusive it may have been. No content, no matter how unforgettable it was. Make that evening yours. And after it's all said and done, look at each other and truly ask, did removing the phones and the audiences change how we presented what we were with each other? And if you're single, you can do the same thing. But you can also pick a random venue, not because of how it looks online, maybe a suggestion from a friend instead of going to Google. Because Google's trying to curate your life too. Don't forget it. It does it to me. All these AI platforms, if you're not careful, they will get you to do all the same things like, for instance, I used to have a map that I would find my way around the world with. Now we have Google, but dang, does it take me some stupid ways where all the traffic is because everybody else is going the same way. There's other ways there. There's other ways to get where you're trying to get to. Go back to a map. But choose it because it might create creative conversation. Choose that venue because it might really be great for you and that person to get to know each other truly. So what I'm getting at is the best relationships aren't built with an audience. They're built for two people who continue to choose each other when nobody is watching. The algorithm constantly asks, how does it look? Love keeps asking, how does this person flourish? So I want to tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending your time with me. This is yours truly, Adam Maxwell with Undivided. Don't forget to get out there and smash the like button, subscribe to the podcast, tell a friend about it. Share this with anybody that needs to hear this. I'll continue to be here week after week, and I can't wait to see where this goes. I love you guys all, and peace out.
Yeah, to the day I die. Yeah. Yeah, to the day I die. Yeah, I woke up on my knees with a war in my chest. Praise God for the morning and the breath in my breath. I've been fighting these demons with a cracked up heart, but you held me together right here from the start. And I got blood, sweat, and tears on these worn out hands. Still I lift them up high, if you understand. Hands to the Lord, hands to the Lord. I want a real life, not just a vibe. Hands to the Lord, hands to the Lord. I'm gonna love you right till the day I die. Yeah, you in that back porch light with the screen door side, talking about babies and a home that we might build. Not chasing some feeling that fades with the night. Just a table full of laughter and a life that's real. And I got blood, sweat, and tears on these worn out hands. Still I lift them up high, if you understand. Hands to the Lord, hands to the Lord. I want a real life, not just a vibe. Hands to the Lord, hands to the Lord. I'm gonna love you right till the day I die. Yeah, when my friends call out, I'll be there again. Through the smoke and the rain to the very end. If I fall, if I break, you won't see me run. I'll keep showing up like my father's son. I want a real life, not just a